Hello beautiful people and welcome to the channel. My name's Debbie and I talk about all things to do with narcissistic, abusive and toxic relationships, as well as looking at healing from them. And today's video, I'm going to be looking at the trauma caused by the narcissistic relationship. Now, when we think of trauma, we immediately think of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is trauma that is caused by one specific incident. Say, for example, a car accident. So you're in a car accident, you are going to suffer from trauma from that accident. And it may well make you nervous about getting on the road and driving again, or you may be more vigilant around you as to what's going on. You may avoid the place where the accident occurred. Perfectly normal. That is a normal post-traumatic stress disorder response. However, within a narcissistic relationship, that trauma becomes complex and complicated due to the abuse that you suffer. This abuse is not just a one-off. It happens repeatedly over time. It is reinforced by the narcissist. And this intermittent reinforcement, as it is known, constantly brings this trauma to the fore. You think you've dealt with it because they've said they won't do that again, but then they do. So this trauma is not just based on one event, it's based on several events. And this could be based on childhood trauma that you've experienced that's similar to what you're going through now. So your body somatically is remembering what happened to you. And now it is bringing that into where you are in this trauma bond at the moment, which compounds the whole process. It is probably one of the most difficult traumas to heal from. Before I get into that, if you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. Please subscribe to the channel and share with your friends and family. I really need your support and help to get the channel higher up in the algorithm on YouTube. So if you could do that, I would be most grateful. Also, if you would like to have a chat with me, email me at debbiewolfmoon@yahoo.co.uk. So the trauma bond, as I mentioned, is when you are connected to your narcissist through the hurt and pain they have caused. And in a nutshell, the narcissist is going to hurt you in some way. You're going to have an emotional response to that. That creates stress within your body. It releases various hormones in your body, which cause physical stress in your body. And your body remembers this. The narcissistic personality type then comes to you later on and says to you, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. I love you. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean for you to experience that. But they will not apologize for what they did. Now, this trauma that you've experienced through this argument, them throwing a cup at the wall, them having a temper tantrum, whatever it is, perhaps they have physically abused you, is then reinforced with love afterwards, this pretend love. Remember going back to the love bombing phase? It's reinforced because they come back and they sort of apologize to you, and you then think, okay, all right, let's carry on. But then they do it again. And they do it again. And they do it again. And this is intermittent reinforcement. So you are constantly in this cycle of hormones within the body that cause and create somatic damage within your body. The worse the abuse, the bigger the gesture of pretend forgiveness that they will offer, or pretend apology that they will offer. But you'll forgive them because you love them. And through this trauma that you've experienced, you think that this is what love is. Now, if you were in an abusive childhood, if one of your parents was abusive, this may be all you know in life. All you know is abuse. And so when somebody abuses you, you know that they are going to then reinforce their love afterwards with an apology or semi-apology or some other form of gaslighting that they will come up with. And so that abuse that you suffered as a child comes to the fore in this relationship where you are with your current partner. Remember, you are their supply, and they do this to you for the supply that you give them from your emotional response. You're going to cry, you're going to be upset, you're going to run away, you're going to hurt in some way. I know that many of us, and I did it, lock ourselves or barricade ourselves in a room in the house. I did. My narcissistic ex and I used to sleep in separate rooms for various reasons. And I didn't have a lock on my door, so I used to push furniture in front of it. I also sometimes ran away from the house, either getting in my car and driving away, or, you know, running away to walk, and I had no money on me, and I just think, right, this is what I'm doing. A bit like when a child runs away. I'm leaving home, I'm running away, because they didn't get their way with what they wanted, sweetie-wise, or, you know, pop-wise. They didn't get their way, so they're going to run away. So you may have this response. The narcissist doesn't care. They take their supply from that response. It's fun for them. It's like, you know, look what I've caused. Look what I've done. I've made this person upset. I'm going to take all of my jollies from what this person is going through. Remember, the narcissist needs you for whatever reason, whether it is a home, money, a job, a car, whatever it is, they are using you for that specific reason. And it can be difficult to recognize because you want to believe in their semi-apology, but there's a part of you that doesn't, because it's happened so many times. So this intermittent reinforcement that happens creates the trauma in the body, as I've already mentioned, and your body becomes addicted to it. So after the physical trauma or the emotional trauma, you are waiting for the reinforcement of the love, supposed love, from this person. So your body's waiting until eventually that person doesn't come back anymore. They don't apologize or semi-apologize or fake apologize. They just go. And so you're stuck with this trauma bond. You are waiting for that reinforcement, that intermittent reinforcement to come through. And that's when you start to question yourself. But I thought they loved me. I thought this person would be with me forever, and yet they've done this. The trauma bond. Trauma you may experience within the relationship, gaslighting is probably the easiest that they can perform on you. For example, you may have told your partner that you were going to meet a friend next week and needed the car. Let's say you're a one-car family, and you needed the car for that. And would they mind, you know, getting a lift to work with a friend or somebody they work with, or maybe catching public transport, whatever. That morning you come to them and say, oh, don't forget, I need the car today. You know, have you made arrangements? No, I have to go into work. I need the car. Now, this is done deliberately because they don't want you to see this friend or this family member. They want to isolate you. This creates trauma because they may say to you, well, you didn't actually tell me this. You didn't say that you needed the car. And there you are, stuck without a car, and you have to cancel your plans. You may even say something like, well, let me give you a lift to work and then I can take the car and I can pick you up later. And they may come along with a story, well, no, because I have to go to an external meeting and I need the car to get there, and so on and so on. They will come up with a whole plethora of excuses as to why you can't have the car on that specific day. As I said, they will say that you didn't tell them, and this makes you believe that you didn't tell them, and so you think you're going crazy. And this is part of the crazy making. It's what gaslighting is intended to do. It leaves you feeling confused. It leaves you feeling hurt, and you think, well, maybe I am going crazy. Then we have, obviously, intense physical or sexual abuse. And this is horrendous, and I have been there. And I know exactly, if you are going through this, I know exactly what you are going through. And It is not right. It is not acceptable. It is wrong on all levels. So if you can get out of that situation, contact a women's aid, contact the police, contact a family member or a friend, try and get out of that situation. I know that it is not always easy. It was not easy for me. I had to stay in the situation. There were external factors that were occurring in my life at the time. If I could have left, I would have left. I would have left all my furniture behind and I would have gone to live in my tent. I would have taken the cats though, because the cats are my children. Anybody who knows me knows I love cats, and if you have a look at the community section on my YouTube page, you'll see quite a few cat memes. So this physical abuse or sexual abuse causes you trauma, and you may have experienced this earlier on in your life, perhaps from childhood, from a parent or a family member or a teacher or a friend. And this trauma creates this complexity later on in life, and you now have this buildup of trauma within you. So it's not so easy to heal from. It is difficult because you have to go back in time to those traumas that you experienced when you were younger in order to work with the trauma that you're currently going through. But I want you to know that none of this is your fault, ever. The narcissist is taking supply from you. They are responsible for this trauma. If somebody lays a hand on you, somebody hits you, somebody pins you against the wall, or somebody commits sexual abuse to you, you are not responsible at all. They are. You are the victim. But the narcissist will always try and turn it around that they're the victim. So I want you to remember that as well. I'm going to include a few videos below that you may find interesting. So have a look at those to explain in a little bit more detail about victimization and how you can perhaps try and recover from the trauma bond and other hurt that you've experienced. Of course, if you have children, this may be even worse. And the advice that I would give here is try and get the children out of the situation, but also try not to let the children become a weapon. I know it's hard, and I'm going to be doing a video on a series that I sort of binge watched over the last weekend, over New Year's weekend, about one narcissistic person in one series, and in the second series it was about the victim of the narcissistic person. So I'm going to be doing a video about that in the future, so you may want to watch out for that. I'm not going to tell you what the program is just yet. Now, these physical acts of abuse, whether to you or to your children, are illegal. Number one, they are illegal. You have every right to go to the police and lay charges against this person. But they will intensify your CPTSD, your complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And this will bring about hypervigilance in you, and you may avoid certain places, certain things. You may find that you are listening for their car. Excuse the police going past. I live on a main road, so it happens a lot. So you may be aware of what's going on around you. Let's say, for example, that you were sexually interfered with in your teenage years. You may have a problem with walking down the street, with being present in front of other people of the sex that abused you. So let's, in this case, and I've said this many times before, is that I always speak from a woman's perspective, having been abused by a man, because that is what I have experienced. But the similarities of the opposite way around, or even in gay relationships, are the same. You will find them in any sexual relationship. So this hypervigilance, it could be a knock on the door. You think, oh, hang on, what's that? Or it could be a noise that you hear. Dreams can bring about this hypervigilant state as well. And it's part of the trauma bond. It is part of what you have gone through. The trauma can be embedded within you. So let's say, for example, you're in a crowd of people and somebody starts waving their arms around. You may flinch because that's happened to you before and somebody hit you. The knock on the door that you don't expect, you may not want to answer the door because you think, well, hang on, what if this person is somebody who's going to come into my home and commit some sort of atrocity? All of these things compound that trauma within you. They compound the CPTSD that you are experiencing. And this may well be dragged into the future, be dragged into future relationships. So learning to heal from this trauma bond is probably the main part of the healing process after having gone through this kind of relationship. And it is probably one of the most difficult things to heal from. It may take weeks, months, or years. You may never fully recover from it. Once we radically accept that this person has done this to us, the healing process can begin. I advise everybody, try and get therapy if you can. Perhaps a support group. There are support groups online that you can attend. Wherever you live in the world, there are normally refuges for abused men or abused women, and they will probably have courses that can help you with that. Often it's free. Journaling. I have found journaling to be amazing with my healing process. And then, of course, there's watching videos like this and other videos on YouTube that discuss these kind of relationships. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please click the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Remember, if you would like to speak to me, email me at debbiewolfmoon@yahoo.co.uk. I hope to see you next time. Blessed be.